You think pasta is the simplest thing in your cupboard. Durum wheat, water, done. But what if the brand you reach for every week is shaped by Teflon, blasted with heat, and potentially carrying traces of one of the most controversial herbicides in modern agriculture? What if the packaging is doing more work than the production process? Today we're ranking 9 of the most common UK pasta brands, 6 you should seriously reconsider, and 3 that prove better pasta is still possible without spending a fortune. Let's start. 1. Barilla, the factory that outgrew the field. Before we talk about flavour or texture, start here. In 2022, a certified class action lawsuit was filed against Barilla in the United States. The claim was straightforward. Barilla's packaging prominently displays Italy's #1 brand of pasta, alongside green, white, and red colouring that mirrors the Italian flag. But much of the pasta sold to American and international consumers is manufactured in factories in New York and Iowa, not Italy. In May 2024, a US federal court certified the class, allowing the case to proceed. That matters because Barilla is the world's largest pasta manufacturer. When perception and production diverge at that scale, the implications reach every market Barilla operates in, including the UK. Now look at how it's made. Barilla's standard blue box range uses Teflon dyes for extrusion. Teflon creates a smooth, slippery surface on the pasta. That smoothness is not cosmetic. It directly affects how sauce interacts with the noodle. Teflon extruded pasta releases less starch into cooking water and holds significantly less sauce than bronze dye alternatives. Then there's the drying. Industrial pasta drying at high temperatures, often above 75 degrees Celsius, can be completed in as little as 6 hours. Traditional slow drying at low temperatures takes 1 to 4 days. The difference isn't just time. High temperature drying caramelizes the starches, alters the protein structure, and changes the color, flavor, and nutritional profile of the finished product. Barilla did launch an Al Bronzo line in late 2022, using bronze dyes. But its core range, the one most UK consumers actually buy, remains Teflon extruded and high temperature dried. Nothing hidden, nothing illegal. But when the world's biggest pasta brand builds its empire on speed and smoothness, the first question worth asking is what got left behind. And once you see how production shortcuts define the market leader, the next brand shows what happens when a famous name quietly changes hands. 2. Napolina. When the name travels further than the wheat. Napolina means Little Naples. The brand was founded in 1965 by Marino Iandiorio, inspired by the produce he discovered in southern Italy. For decades, it carried the identity of authentic Italian cooking into British kitchens. But modern Napolina is not a small Italian operation. Napolina is owned by Prince's Group, a Liverpool-headquartered food conglomerate. Prince's was owned by Mitsubishi Corporation until 2024, when it was sold to Italian-based Newlat Food for approximately £700 million. In 2025, Prince's was floated on the London Stock Exchange with a valuation of around £1.2 billion. That's the corporate structure behind the pasta in your cupboard. Here's the tension. The Italian tomato supply chain has faced well-documented scrutiny over exploitative labour practices, including the use of migrant workers under gangmaster systems in southern Italy. Scandals have also emerged involving non-European tomatoes being relabeled as Italian origin products. Napolina has since invested in blockchain traceability for its tomato supply chain. That's worth acknowledging, but the pasta itself raises a different question. Napolina does not prominently disclose whether its pasta range uses bronze or Teflon dyes, or what drying method is employed. In 2021, Waitrose quietly delisted Napolina's entire pasta range following a review, a decision that speaks to how premium retailers assess the brand's positioning against its production reality. When a brand carries the emotional weight of Italian heritage but operates within a billion-pound industrial food group, the question isn't whether the pasta is bad, it's whether the name is doing more than the process. And if heritage branding can quietly drift from its origins, the next brand shows how an entire country's wheat supply can carry invisible chemistry into your kitchen. 3. Lidl Combino, the glyphosate. Question nobody asks at the checkout. Lidl's Combino pasta is one of the most purchased dried pastas in the UK. At under 50 pence for 500 grams, the economics are almost impossible to resist. But price creates pressure, and pressure travels backwards through the supply chain. Laboratory testing published by Italian food journal Il Salvagente found glyphosate residues in 7 out of 20 pasta brands tested. Lidl was among them. 6 of the 7 brands testing positive were made using wheat imported from outside Italy. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in Bayer's Roundup herbicide. It is the most widely used weed killer on the planet. In 2015, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified glyphosate as a probable human carcinogen. Here's where it enters pasta. Canadian farmers routinely use glyphosate as a pre-harvest desiccant, spraying it directly onto wheat crops shortly before harvest to dry them uniformly. Italy imports billions of pounds of Canadian durum wheat annually. That pre-harvest application is known to significantly increase glyphosate residues in the final grain. Italy itself banned the pre-harvest use of glyphosate in 2016. Research published in Science Direct found that chemical residues are consistently highest in non-organic wholemeal pasta and bread. The same study noted these residues do not break down during normal cooking temperatures. Lidl, to its credit, is one of the few brands that voluntarily declared the origin of its wheat on certain product lines. But transparency about origin doesn't eliminate what arrived with the grain. When the cheapest pasta on the shelf also carries the most exposure to a herbicide classified as a probable carcinogen, the savings stop looking simple. And if wheat sourcing creates invisible risk, the next brand shows how even a household name can make shortcuts that chefs refuse to accept. 4. Tesco Own Brand, the dye that defines what you taste. Stand in front of the Tesco pasta aisle and you see a wall of shapes and prices. Standard penne, around 50 pence for 500 grams. Flip the pack over and you'll find the expected simplicity. Durum wheat semolina. Nothing alarming. No long additive lists. But the ingredient list doesn't tell you how it was made. Tesco's standard own brand pasta, like most budget supermarket ranges, is extruded through Teflon dyes. The surface is smooth, uniform, and shiny. When you cook it, the starch stays locked inside and the sauce slides off. That's not a small detail. It's the fundamental interaction between pasta and food. Research from America's Test Kitchen examined the surface of Teflon extruded pasta under magnification. The result was a slick, sealed surface. Bronze dye pasta, by contrast, showed a rough, craggy texture that absorbs liquid and holds sauce at every point of contact. Tesco doesn't disclose dye type or drying temperature on its standard packaging. The drying process for industrial pasta at this price point typically uses high heat over short cycles. Traditional Italian pasta drying runs for days at low temperatures to preserve flavor, color, and protein integrity. When the pasta costs less than a bottle of water, you're not buying craftsmanship. You're buying efficiency. And when efficiency is invisible to the consumer, the next brand reveals how even a well-known Italian name can build a reputation on something its standard product doesn't actually deliver. 5. Sainsbury's own brand, the Bronze Illusion. Sainsbury's runs a familiar experiment. Its basic pasta range mirrors Tesco. Durum wheat semolina. Low price. Teflon extrusion. High temperature drying. Smooth surface. But look further along the shelf and you'll find premium lines marketed with words like bronze dye and Italian. This is where it gets interesting, because the mere mention of bronze dye on a premium supermarket pasta doesn't tell you the full story. Bronze extrusion is only half the equation. If the pasta is then dried at high temperatures on a compressed industrial cycle, much of the benefit of that rough surface is undermined by altered starch and protein structures. The distinction matters biochemically. Slow drying at low temperatures preserves the gluten network and allows a gentle, controlled reduction in moisture. High temperature drying forces rapid moisture loss, caramelizing internal starches and creating a denser, less porous product. The pasta may say bronze dye on the label, but if the drying was industrial, you're paying a premium for half a process. Sainsbury's doesn't disclose drying temperatures or durations on its packaging. Same retailer, same supply chain, different story on the front, incomplete disclosure on the back. And if premium labeling can mask an incomplete process, The next brand shows how a global giant's sourcing decisions carry consequences that no label is required to mention. 6. Asda own brand, where sourcing becomes the product. Asda's dried pasta range sits at the budget end of the market. Durum wheat semolina. Basic packaging. Prices designed to compete with discounters. The issue here isn't what's added, it's what's absorbed before the wheat even reaches the factory. Budget pasta at this price point relies on the cheapest available durum wheat, often sourced through global commodity markets. That wheat may originate from regions where pre-harvest glyphosate application is standard agricultural practice. UK food regulations do not require pasta brands to disclose the country of origin of their wheat. Unlike Italy, which briefly mandated origin labelling between 2017 and 2021, the UK has no equivalent requirement. That means a consumer buying Asda pasta has no way of knowing whether the wheat was grown in Italy, Canada, Kazakhstan, or a blend of origins, and no way of knowing what chemical treatments that wheat received before harvest. Global food recall data from 2024 showed that prepared dishes, pasta and noodles were the most recalled food category across the UK, US, Canada, Australia, and the EU. Microbial contamination, primarily Salmonella and Listeria, drove the majority of incidents. In July 2025, Tesco itself recalled multiple pasta salad products over Salmonella contamination. Budget pasta isn't dangerous by default, but when origin is invisible, production is undisclosed, and the supply chain stretches across continents, the consumer is making a trust-based purchase with very little information to justify that trust. And once you see how much remains hidden at the budget end, the solution starts to look remarkably straightforward. What to buy instead, and why it's different. Now that you've seen the pattern, the fix isn't complicated, it's slower, it's rougher, and it doesn't need a marketing department to justify its existence. What separates genuinely better pasta from the industrial standard comes down to two production decisions: the dye material and the drying method. Bronze dyes create a rough, porous surface that grips source naturally. Teflon dyes create a smooth, sealed surface that repels it. Slow drying at low temperatures over 24 to 72 hours preserves the natural flavor, color, and protein structure of the wheat. High temperature drying in under 6 hours caramelizes the starch, alters the gluten, and changes the nutritional profile. Those two choices define the pasta. Look for bronze dye extrusion, stated on the packaging. Low temperature, slow drying, often described as essiccazione lenta. 100% durum wheat semolina with no unnecessary additions. A rough, pale, matte surface rather than smooth and glossy yellow. And these are now the three widely available options in UK supermarkets. Cecco bronze dye extruded. Slow dried at low temperatures. Made with coarse ground semolina and cold mountain spring water from the Magella National Park in Abruzzo, Italy. Cecco invented the first mechanical slow-drying system in 1889 and still uses the same foundational method. Available in most UK supermarkets at a moderate premium over budget brands, typically around £1.50 to £2 for 500 grams. Independent testing has consistently shown Cecco to be free of detectable glyphosate residues. Next brand is Rummo. Family-owned Italian brand using a proprietary method called lenta lavorazione, which extends the entire production cycle to preserve wheat integrity. Bronze dye extruded and slow-dried, increasingly available in UK stores including Ocado and Waitrose. Rummo's pasta has a notably firm, textured bite that holds sauce without disintegrating. The last brand is Garofalo. Produced in Gragnano, the historic centre of Italian pasta production. Garofalo holds PGI certification, which requires adherence to specific traditional production standards, including bronze extrusion and controlled drying, available across major UK retailers. Garofalo balances artisan methodology with accessibility, sitting in a similar price range to Cecco. They won't cost 50p. That's the point. Pasta designed around time and texture behaves differently from pasta designed around speed and margin. And once you cook the difference, you won't need a label to tell you which is which. So that's it for today's Food Check UK. If you found this helpful, eye-opening, or just a little bit shocking, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss the next investigation. If you think more people need to see this, please consider sharing the video. It really helps spread the word. And if you've got thoughts on this topic or experiences of your own, leave a comment below. I'd really like to hear from you. We're here to break down the labels, expose the truth behind the marketing, and help you make informed choices every time you shop. Check out the next video on your screen now, and let's keep holding the food industry accountable together.